I'd like to welcome three Japanese dancers, Kengo, Ran, and Takako, and my dear husband Ross to come and join me. I've been wanting to take this story and bring in the element of course, story, but as well music and dance as well. So please help me welcome Takako, Ran, Kengo, and Ross. And a couple years ago, I had the fortunateness to go to Bali, and when I was in Bali, I loved, of course, Bali was such a beautiful place. But one of the things that inspired me so much was the beauty of the rice terraces and the rice fields, and the exquisiteness of the white herons. And also, there's a really neat thing about Bali that you might not know. Most people have one of four names. So how many of you are firstborn, the oldest in your family? That's me too. So if you were in Bali, chances are your name, male or female, would be Wayan. And how many are secondborn? Second, you would be Made. And thirdborn, anyone? You would be Nyoman. And fourth, any fourthborn? Oh, we have a few. You would be Ketut. This story is about Ketut. And here we go. There was a time when the world was in darkness. Day in, day out, night in, night out, a blanket of darkness covered the sky. It was cold. Life was hard. Hardly anything grew. And life would have continued on that way if it weren't for a string of islands in the middle of the ocean that they called Indonesia. And an island in the middle of that string of islands that they called Bali. And a young boy in the middle of that island that they called Ketut. Now, Ketut was the fourth son of a poor rice farmer. And as life would have it, in a place where there was no sun, did the rice grow? No. So Ketut's father, being firstborn, his name was Wayan, became very discouraged. Ketut's mother, also named Wayan, was discouraged. The first son, Wayan, the second son, Made, the third son, Nyoman, they were all very discouraged, and they sat day in, day out, night in, night out, huddled in blankets of discouragement on their front porch. And it wasn't as if they hadn't tried. No, medicine men made magical potions and pictures. The women made offerings, and the men built ladders and hooks, anything to convince that night sky to come down. But no, he just grabbed on a little tighter. Well, even Ketut tried. He wrote a poem, oh sky, oh great big sky. But the elders would just pat him on the head and chuckle and tell him to go off and play. And so he did. Well, Ketut was curious by nature, and he loved the darkness. He would sit at the edge of the rice field, and he would listen to the sounds in the night. He would hear sounds like crickets chirping. Can you help me with that sound? Chirp, chirp. Or he would hear frogs croaking in the distance. Or he would hear the occasional dog howling. Or he would hear the rooster crow as if to say, any day now, any day now, any day now, the sun would rise. But what if it never did? Ketut thought. What if the sun never came back? He thought about his mother, how frail and weary she had become. He thought about his father, how worried he was. And all of a sudden, a worry started to creep into his heart. And the sounds in the rice field began to get louder and louder. And he began to panic so that he scrambled and tried to get up on his feet. But when he tried to get up, he almost fell over. And in his hand, there was something to steady him. And there was a large crack. And in his hand, there was a reed that was as hollow as the night was dark. Well, Ketut, being curious, he blew into that reed, and as the rice field held its breath, he began to blow into this reed, and all of a sudden, the most beautiful music began to pour out. Well, this was astonishing in itself. But what was even more astonishing than that was that hundreds of thousands of white herons began to rise up out of the folds of the rice terraces. Well, Ketut couldn't believe his eyes. His jaw dropped open, and can you play if your jaw's open? The music stopped, and whoosh, the herons disappeared back into the folds of the rice terraces. So Ketut began to play again, and that music spilled out of his flute. And those herons rose. They rose up and up and up. They danced and they swooped and they rose and they created formations so that all you could see was a flicker of white like hope against the dark sky. Well, the people of the village heard the music, and they followed the flapping of the wings until they got to Ketut. So Ketut played on and on until with a great big flourish, those herons rose up and up and up until they touched the underbelly of the sky. Well, the sky had never been touched before. He felt the softness, oh, the softness of those wings. And he began to let go until he released every last hook in every last corner of the earth. And as Ketut played on, that sky let go and eased all of its weight down onto the backs of those herons, allowing the herons to finally carry that sky away. Well, a soft rain came down, because letting go never happens without some tears. And those herons carried that sky away, allowing for the first time the sun to come out. Well, the herons, they're still there. I know. I saw them. They wait every morning for Ketut to come and play his flute so they can rise up and up and up and escort that old and tired sky when it has held its grip on the earth long enough. And if you go to that string of islands in the middle of the ocean called Indonesia, to that island in the middle of that string of islands that they call Bali, well, all you will see on the faces of the Balinese people are great smiles, because they know discouragement lives with them no more.